Today I'm giving a persuasive speech, and by the end of it, I hope to make you strongly consider buying an electric car in the near future over a fuel-based automobile. A lot of recent car shows, including the recent Detroit Auto Show, have showcased automakers' push to bring practical, fully electric cars to market. With one new all-electric vehicle already for sale from Nissan, and with others on the way from Ford, Volkswagen, Honda, Toyota, Mercedes, and the Fiat this year, I thought it might be worth looking at some of the pros and cons electric cars have. Now, the pros: cheap fuel. Nissan estimates it will cost approximately $275 at average utilities to charge its Leaf to the full. $275. The Leaf has a range of around 100 miles, a distance that would cost about $10 to drive in a compact car getting 30 miles per gallon. That gap will become even wider if gas prices rise in the upcoming year. Secondly, less frequent maintenance. Because they do not have to deal with the heat and force generated by an unending series of powerful explosions the way combustion engines do, electric engines don't need the oil changes and other regular maintenance that conventional engines need to stay running. That can add up to significant savings over time. Thirdly, tax credits. Buyers of electric vehicles can get a significant tax credit from the federal government. The Nissan Leaf is eligible for a tax credit up to $7,500, for example. That is a lot of money to get a tax credit from. Lastly, cleanliness. Not to mention all the environmental benefits, which are considerable. An electric car means freedom from oil substances that can be really messy. Aren't you tired of looking out your window and seeing all that pollution on the horizon? Let alone breathing it all in? Well, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists, fuel transportation is the largest single source of air pollution in the United States. That's disturbing. It causes over half of the carbon monoxide and over a third of the nitrogen oxides found in our atmosphere. With that being said, fuel emissions that contribute heavily to pollution is now affecting not only our health, but moreover the health of toddlers. An article in Discovery News states that chronic exposure to air pollution increases a baby's chance of developing bronchitis. A baby's chance. A lung infection that is the most common cause of hospitalization in the first year of life. Then why on earth would we ever want to support the risk of that happening to our own children? Well, let me tell you, my friends, driving big SUVs and heavily fueled automobiles may seem like the standard of living, but really you're distorting our younger generation. The US is very behind compared to other regions like Japan, China, Europe in converting to electric cars. Why might that be? Well, let's now look at the cons of the electric car. First of all, short range. Current battery technology can't yet match the energy stored in a regular old tank of unleaded. That means in the near future, electric cars will significantly less range than comparable combustion cars. Second, few independent mechanics. I spoke to a mechanic I know over the weekend, and we got on the topic of upsides and downsides to electric cars. He said that one major sticking point of ownership would be finding an independent shop that would work on an all-electric vehicle. The cars are both very different from the combustion counterparts and still are quite rare. That will likely mean higher maintenance costs since dealerships often charge more for the same repair than independent shops do. Third, expensive home chargers. Unless you want to wait 8 hours or more to fill up your tank, you'll want a high-speed charger installed in your home, potentially adding thousands to your electric car price tag. And last, battery uncertainty. Just like the batteries in your iPod, your laptop, the large expensive batteries in an electric car will inevitably run down and become unable to hold a full charge. The question is, how will they perform in the real world, under real-world weather and traffic conditions? Well, so what do you think? Do the pros outweigh the cons, or vice versa? Ultimately, what it comes down to is that we are now living in the 21st century. The 21st century, people. And we're still driving these enormous gas-guzzling SUVs that do more harm to our precious environment and cause harm towards our health. Why is there no evident change yet? Let me take you back to the late 1800s, where the Electric Vehicle Company was founded as a holding company of battery-powered electric automobile manufacturers made up of several car companies. The firm actually made and sold about 2,000 electric cars as taxis to several American cities. But they all fell into hard times in the 1900s after facing competition from gas-powered cars and legal problems stemming from monopolistic practices, as well as a scandal surrounding the poor performance of its vehicles. Now let me remind you once again, this was back in the 1800s. People, the electric car is not an unfamiliar concept. It is all about money. Oil companies literally fuel this country and cannot risk the decline of manufactured gas cars due to the reliance of billions and billions of dollars that seem to fund our nation. I believe that there needs to be a change now. Now is the time, whether we want to admit it or not. Technology is taking over the world in every sort of nook and cranny except for the automobile here in the United States. Yes, most likely, as a short-term result, we may lose more money converting to the electric car. But there is no doubt that as a long-term outcome, the electric vehicle will only benefit the citizens of our nation and for the next generations to come. And I'm not only saying this for money purposes, but in all areas. Our environment will benefit, our health, our living conditions, and gas cars will be seen as back in the ice ages. I'm not asking you to go out and buy an electric car today. I'm asking you to understand. Your future and your kids' future is in your hands. This is one of the few things we have control over. Let's turn it into our favor for this moment and for the years to come.